See so many of you here this morning. Um, First of all, before I forget, myself a sticky note. Is there anybody here who lives in Tupelo or Saltillo or maybe even Pontotoc? A few people? Okay. My son's daycare has asked that we come and talk to them a little bit about hygiene and dental care and exercise and all that healthy eating and stuff that, you've probably done that before, seen that done. It's not a big project, but I would be very happy to give some service learning points if some of you would volunteer. So if you would send me an email, and we can get that rolling as soon as possible, like next week. So not a big thing, but something fun that you can do to get some service learning points, okay? And I won't ask anybody to drive from far away, but if you work locally or if you're already here, it would be a fun thing for us to do, okay? I'm going to be coordinating NU465, and that's your community course. It kind of plays off of Dr. Todd's public health course from last semester, his health promotions course, and it's going to be using the same book, your public health nursing course, your Lancaster book. And here's my home page. I've got just a few little notes down at the bottom. Just as a reminder, hopefully you all know by now, but the easiest way to navigate Canvas, our courses in Canvas, is to use the Modules tab. And so if Dr. Todd, if you would click on Modules, and he is my co-coordinator, so if you can't get hold of me, contact Dr. Todd and he'll be happy to help answer questions. And I have everything broken down by the units. And so the first little section is course information, and you'll find a little introduction to me, and then the course syllabus, and just your group member evaluation form. That's just a form that you'll only need if there are problems within your group. And then the rest of the assignments are broken down into sections. So your first thing is your ATI modules, and hopefully a lot of you have already completed those over the break. But if not, go ahead and jump in and get those done before you really get started in the harder assignments, because that's an easy thing to get out of the way and off your plate, and you can go ahead and turn in those certificates. We do have it set up this semester to only accept PDF, .docs, and .docx files, because there were some that were turned in like a web link to the certificate, and we couldn't pull that up unless we were logged into your account. So with 320 or so students, it's more time consuming if we're having to log into each individual account and pull those up. So if you would just make sure to save those in an appropriate format before you turn them in, we would really appreciate it. And then you're going to have a vulnerable populations assignment, community advocate assignment, keep on scrolling down, family as a client assignment, and then what our course really builds up to, all these assignments are kind of leading you to see what all is a community composed of. What are the members of a community? Who am I treating as a community health nurse? Who are my patients? And so that's all leading up to our big assignments in this course, which is a community assessment and a community implementation project. So as you can see under each topic, I have notes for you, I have instructions, and then I have your assignments. So if you will click on those in order, and actually when you click on the first one, it'll show you a little arrow that you can click to the right and just keep going to the right. It should tell you everything you need to know in sequence, okay? But let's just go back up and pull up the syllabus first and start with that. That was just kind of a broad overview of the course, and now I'll give you a few more specifics. Okay, we have, as you know, I'm sure, lots of faculty helping us. Different people are going to be grading, but do make sure that you go in and view your graded assignments to see that feedback and get those critiques, because that's really going to help you as you progress from assignment to assignment. And as you know, we don't have a lot of face-to-face communication and classroom type lectures, but we really teach through our feedback and our comments that we give you. So if you're not taking the time to go back and read those after we give you a grade, you're really not giving yourself all the education opportunity that we've provided for you, because we really do take time to give good constructive feedback on those assignments. So if you're not sure how to look at that, you should be able to actually click on the assignment in the grade book once it's been graded, and it'll pull it up and it'll show you where we've made comments on everything. Alright, like I said, you're going to have this textbook. Your community assessment is going to be written up as a formal paper. I know you're excited. So you will need your APA book for that. And then keep going down. Okay, scroll back up just a little bit, Dr. Todd, under the evaluation. Right there, this is a clinical course, just like Mr. Calvary's course was clinical. So remember, you have to pass the clinical portion of the course in order to pass the course, your grade, in order to get a passing grade. But those clinical assignments won't affect your grade as far as bring your A down to a B or your B to a C. But if you don't turn in your clinical requirements, you will fail the course, okay? You have to have 370 points to pass the course, and remember, you have 3 days to turn in a late assignment. So after that 3rd day, it'll be a 0. So make sure if some extenuating circumstance happens, that you contact us and see if we can work something out before you just don't turn something in, okay? Alright, keep going down. And then these are the assignments that we talked about. This is the points that they were. And then you can see how it's broken out. I'm trying to talk into the microphone. Sorry if I'm turning my head and it's getting away. You can see how it's broken out into the clinical components and then what's going to actually give you your grade in the course. So your family as a client is your first assignment that has a clinical component. And it's a discussion board. And so when you click on your assignments in Canvas, it's going to give you the due date and how many points it's worth. And you'll see that on the clinical assignments, it just has the due date. It's not worth any points, but you have to complete that by the due date in order to pass. And then your community as a client, the assessment, the paper, has a discussion board, and that's your clinical component. And then your implementation project has a discussion board, and that's your clinical component. Okay, keep scrolling down. That's how you get your letter grades. I'm not gonna go over all this in detail. I know you all know how to read. I hope that you would take the time to read this. We do take the time to put it out there for you. But all the way down at the bottom, Dr. Todd, if you aren't familiar with utilizing, right there, if you aren't familiar with utilizing your conceptual teaching outline, this breaks down each assignment. It tells you why you have the assignment, the outcomes that we're trying to meet for the course and for the curriculum as a whole. It gives you the required activities, what you need to read and study for it, and then how we're going to evaluate you on it. So if you ever have a question about an assignment, even though I think you can pretty much find everything you need under the modules, but come back here first before you give us a call, okay? Alright, Dr. Todd, I think that's it on the syllabus. If you'll go back to the modules. Okay, I'm not going to go into detail about ATI. You've all done ATI. Hopefully you can remember how to do that. The vulnerable populations, there are a couple notes there that I hope you will take the time to read. It'll really help you complete your assignment. But then click on that assignment and just open it briefly. Okay, this assignment isn't a document. You need to click at the top. If you just saw Dr. Toddy said enable editing, and you will actually make your answers on this document. So save as you go. And you're just going to fill out the appropriate answers in the tables. And it's all about what's a vulnerable population, how do you help people in this population, and that's going to help you be able to see these things when you're assessing the communities that you get assigned to. You're going to be able to identify and pick out those vulnerable populations and see what their needs are and how you can help those people, okay? Alright, so it looks kind of lengthy, but I don't think it will take you a terribly long time to complete. Okay? And then your next assignment is going to be the community advocate assignment. And this assignment is a group assignment, and I'm going to let you pick your own groups. It needs to be a group of 3 to 4 members. And if you remember from Ms. Cook's class, you go under people and groups and put yourself in that group. So once you've communicated and you've decided you're all going to be in a group, one person in the group needs to create the group, and then the other people add themselves to it, okay? And it is titled Community Advocate Group. And hopefully, fingers crossed, I have Canvas set up correctly that just one person turns in that assignment and it'll populate for all members of the group, and then we grade it and put in the grade for one person and it populates for the other members, okay? But it's the same way. It is a document that you will need to enable editing and then save as you go, and you can email that back and forth. I've created a Google Doc for you all for this assignment. You're going to need to find a facility to interview and answer questions to complete this assignment. And I don't want everybody to have the same facility, because there are a lot of people who live within the same area. I think a lot of you got together and worked together and said, hey, let's go back to school together, which is great. But I don't want just one organization to be bombarded with phone calls. And so I've created a Google Doc for your group. Once you have created a group, you read the instructions to decide what would be an appropriate facility for you to interview, and then go to that Google Doc and put the information of your facility there. And it's first come, first served. So if a bunch of you live in Tupelo and someone wants to do Helping Hands and they fill out Helping Hands in Tupelo, then nobody else can get that place, okay? If there's someone who does the Salvation Army, there are a lot of different Salvation Armies. So I'm not saying you can't do Salvation Army, but if somebody gets Salvation Army in Tupelo, then nobody else needs that Salvation Army, okay? And so then once everybody has added their organization to the Google Doc, we're going to have a great list of places that you can refer people to in the state of Mississippi. So it'll be a wonderful resource for you to have. And then once you kind of get familiar with Google Docs, that's going to be a resource for you working in groups. You can actually create your own Google Doc and share your community paper. You can share this paper within your groups and work on that together. Instead of having to email, it'll all be right there, and the changes will be right there for everybody in your group to see. All right, I think that's it on that, Dr. Todd. I've got instructions in there. Like I said, I've got notes and instructions, so just read over those. All right, your next assignment is Family as a Client. Now, with this assignment, it is in a document, but there are some graphics that you're going to need to edit. How many of you are familiar with a genogram or an echo map? Anybody? A few people? Well, you're going to be creating a genogram and an echo map. The first genogram that I'm going to ask you to do is on a family that I give you information about. And that's what you would do as a nurse if you were doing an assessment of someone else's family. Then you would need to create a genogram for them to be able to assess those family relationships and dynamics and what they may be at risk for, their hereditary diseases and such. So I'm going to give you a family, and it's on this document, and you're going to first create a genogram for them. And that way, when we're grading it, we know that you know how to do that. And then you're going to create a genogram of your family. And we want you to upload that genogram in the discussion board, and that's going to give you your clinical validation. But we don't know your family, so we're just going off of what you tell us about your family, so we can't really give you a grade as to whether that's a correct genogram or not. So that's why we have you do a family that we give you first, and then you do your own. And then there's also an echo map that you're going to edit and create that about your immediate family, whoever lives in your household. And that's really about those relationships that are built there. So you can see that the key is already provided, and you can have a strong relationship, a tenuous, or a stressful. Now I've provided a video, and that's linked within the module to show you how to edit these. Okay, so if that's a little intimidating when you see it there, don't panic yet. Watch the video and try it on your own, and then you can give me a call if you're still having trouble, okay? The video was recorded last year when we did have this in Blackboard. So the initial steps where it says, click here in Blackboard to open the assignment, is not correct. Your assignment is in Canvas under modules, but all the other steps are the same. It's still a Word document, and you still edit it the same, okay? This is an individual assignment because you are going to do your own family, okay? Alright, so then the big assignment, your community as a client. You're going to be put into a community group, and I've already got those built in Canvas so you can see which community you've been assigned to. I do anticipate around 15 more students that still need to register that I'll be adding to some groups, but other than that, it really shouldn't change. You will be assigned a faculty mentor to help facilitate your groups, and I've got that listed under the module for you to see. So once you find your name under the groups, remember, go to People and Groups, and it's under Community as a client, and you'll find yourself in that community group. Now, I did try to put you all in a location that was relatively close. However, I had a max of 12 people in a group, and in some locations there was 29 people in that location. So I went in no specific order, random order, I assigned people, and once that location filled up, I had to move on, okay? So some of you may not be in a location that you can physically drive and visit this place. But whenever your group is assigning roles, if you can't go visit that place in person, then you sign up to be someone who looks online for information, or sign up to give somebody a phone call, to call City Hall, or to find out information that way, okay? There will be people within the group who can visit that location and physically lay eyes on it and do some face-to-face interviews. But everybody else, you would need the role to edit the papers or look on the internet for stuff, things like that, okay? So don't freak out if you look and your community is not near you. But for those of you who do live there, make sure to include everyone in your group. Even if they don't live there, they still need a role, they need a part, they need to be involved, they need to know what's going on. Make sure to share all the information you gather, and that's why I mentioned the Google Docs. I think that would be a great resource for you all to utilize to make sure that all the information is being disseminated within your group. So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to look at your notes, you're going to read the instructions, and you're going to do a windshield survey. Now I've given you the form, so all you have to do is fill out the form. Some of the information, well, most of the information is going to need to be gathered by someone who actually can physically go to the location. But other information can be gathered online and through phone conversations and things like that. Now this form is going to be given to all members of the group, and you're going to need to upload that into the discussion board and answer the question on discussion board to get your clinical credit for this. And then you're going to use that information that you collected from the windshield survey, plus any additional information you need to collect, to create your formal community assessment paper. And under the community assessment module, there is a rubric that I've created, and I think Dr. Todd had that pulled up a moment ago. And you'll need to make sure that your paper includes all those elements, okay, and so that you get all your points. Your faculty mentor will be helping facilitate you through that process and make sure that you're on track and on target. And if your group gets done and schedules time to have a draft, you can actually send a rough draft to your faculty mentor to get feedback, and they'll help you with APA and make sure that you're getting everything done correctly before you turn in that final draft or that final paper. Okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to use your community assessment to identify the problems that your community has. What's going on in my community? What are my vulnerable populations? Or what is a glaring health issue that they have that nobody's really addressing, or that I can address, that I can make a big impact on? And so I've given you an assessment form and a problem analysis form. Yes, right there, problem analysis worksheet. You're going to complete that worksheet then and submit that in the discussion board for your clinical validation for this part of the assignment. And so I really want you all to talk as a group and talk about how you can relate this project to the nursing process, and how is it the same when you're assessing and evaluating and implementing things as a community as to a patient. Okay, I really want you to see that. And so you're going to identify the problems and the priority problems, and then what can I do about that? What is my nursing intervention going to be? And then you're going to actually create an intervention presentation. So we do want it to be focused on health for nursing, something that you would be considered an expert in so that you have a valid reason for presenting it. And you're going to find a population, find a place that you can do that, set up a time, and contact your faculty mentor to get the okay on everything. But we will either try to be there in person if we can, or we can FaceTime with you or Skype with you so that we can actually see the presentation going on live. If that's not possible, then you can record that and put it on YouTube and submit the link. But that's going to be your assignment that you turn in for your presentation implementation project. And like I said, there are further instructions, there are notes, there are web pages and articles, so lots of resources for you to utilize if that all seems a little overwhelming right now. I want you to just take it in, take a deep breath, and then look at it on your own time when you have a little more time to really chew on it. Okay? But we are here for you. We want this to be a success. We really want to impact the state of Mississippi with this. So really do your best and let us help you through this process, okay? Any initial questions? I know that's a lot. Okay, you can do it. All right.